I just learned a very hard lesson, and I have a couple of tips for you guys so that you can benefit from my experience. Number one, do not install the gas tank without the shield already attached to it. There are 3 studs on the outside of the shield. Here's one stud, for example. You want to attach your shield to your tank and then bolt it down as tight as you can get it around all 3 studs. There should be one on this side, one on that side, one on that side. The reason being, once you get this thing up in the air, you're going to be fighting with it, and it's going to be moving around within the heat shield itself. And trying to get those studs to point out in every single hole is just way too much hassle. The main reason I think that I was fighting with it, maybe you can see something wrong with this picture. What's there that shouldn't be there? While I was trying to install it, I left my tool on top of the tank, and that did not allow me to fit it in there. So I was struggling with trying to fit the tank in there probably for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And the whole time it was because this was up there and just would not let me install it correctly. Between the heat shield not being connected and that thing being up there, it was just one thing after another. Lesson learned the hard way. Now I'm going to be going at it for my second attempt. I'm pretty sure that this one is going to go a lot smoother now that I have that thing off. I'm not sure if I'm going to show any of the other video of me screwing up because the fitment's not right. Some of the procedures aren't exactly right. They weren't in the right order. I tried putting the straps on in the wrong order. So you have the heat shield, which wasn't connected to the fuel tank. You have a piece of wood underneath of that sliding, and you have the jack. Then you had that on top, and then you add the brackets, which I installed in the wrong order, or attempted to install in the wrong order. I tried installing the bracket on that side first when I should have been doing on that side. So all of the procedures that I had in the wrong order, they added up. And when you have that tank up in the air, you do not want those things to add up. Otherwise, it's going to make your life a living hell. So pretty much everything that could have gone wrong with just the procedures in trying to install it did. That's just the way I do things, folks. What can I say? And I'm not gonna, candy coat it and say that I didn't completely screw that up my first attempt, because I absolutely did. It's not all roses all the time, you know. You will do things in the wrong order, and there is a correct order to reinstalling a fuel tank. If there wasn't, I wouldn't be making this video. So I'm gonna save you an hour of one screw up if you watch this video. Now I have a really long piece of cardboard, let's just say refrigerator box size, really big box. It starts there and it goes all the way to here. Set the fuel tank on my piece of plywood. You want the plywood so that the jack doesn't mess up the bottom of the heat shield. So you've got cardboard, then a sheet of plywood, then your heat shield, and then your gas tank. And this is really easy because I can just move the entire thing by pulling the cardboard up to the front. Really easy. And then I'll have a sheet of cardboard to lay on while I work on the fuel tank. So that all works out fairly well. Have I mentioned how much I love my garage? It is now almost midnight. I'm working on the car at midnight with full lighting and no bugs eating me, and I'm not getting rained on, and this is freaking awesome. Freaking love it. Freaking. For all you guys that are not going to repaint all your stuff, including your heat shields and your brackets, you're probably going to have a lot of rust under there and crap falling in your face. So please, remember to wear safety glasses. Let's see if we can correct some of the mistakes that I made the first time. You want to be on the left side of the tank where there is no heat shield, because this is going to be the first strap that you want to put up. So you put your wood basically on this side with your jack under there. You're gonna have to lift this up, slide that under. Alright, so I'm gonna move you over to this side, otherwise I'm gonna be blocking your entire view. Here's my block of wood. Get my fingers under it. Okay. Slide the jack under. This needs to go up a little. Make sure my electrical connector and everything isn't, evap isn't binding. Let's slide this up over the jack. Alright, something like that. sure we got clearance. Good there, kinda. I'm way off center here. There we go. See, it has to slide in on an angle first. Now that I'm up over the K-frame, oh, wrong way. As far as that's going to go. See, having this heat shield bolted to the bottom of the tank makes things so much easier. Wow. It just kind of slides right in there now. Wow, that's awesome. So much better. Alright, tight on the top. Pretty good. Wow, big difference. Man, that worked really well. There's not enough room coming at it from the wrong angle. Should be coming at it from the side. Let's try it this way. That's gonna work any better. Sorry, I can't film this, but it's just there's just not enough room. Come on, up and in, up and in. Just a little bit. Alright, that's in. Oh, that's what that buffer's for. So that when it hangs down, it doesn't crush the floor pan when these are loose. I like that. Okay, so now we have this side in. We have to go get the other side in. And can you see anything, or is my big fat freaking head in the way? Okay, first, I'm going to go ahead and reattach the electrical connector up here. Well, that bolt up there, that attaches to this bracket, the other side. That one fought me really hard because the tank is so heavy. You have to push up on the tank while you screw that bolt in, and I recommend trying to reach around. Just come around the other side of the K-frame, around the back. While you push up with your left hand, you can screw this in, and you can't use gloves because you need the dexterity of your fingers. As long as you get that started, then you can run it down with your ratchet and extender and U-joint, and you will need a U-joint to get at this because of the angle. Okay, I got the first bracket installed, and then after you get the first bracket on the left side, then your jack just comes completely out because that one bracket will hold the entire fuel tank. As long as the fuel tank is empty anyway. I don't think it's going to hold much more weight than that, which is another advantage of emptying and cleaning your fuel tank. So now all I have to do is go ahead and put the remaining two brackets on, bolt those down, then bolt the heat shield on. The heat shield that goes around this side actually gets bolted onto the heat shield, or the studs. There's a stud there and a stud there. The studs that come out of the fuel tank. And that's the only thing that's holding that heat shield on there. Right now it's completely loose and it's just around the pipe. There's absolutely nothing that holds that on other than the two studs coming off the fuel tank. Sounds pretty flimsy, but it's fairly secure once it's all bolted down. So that's a look at my painted heat shield and exhaust. Looks pretty good, huh? Not too shabby. Alright, after you get the second bracket on, which is this one bracket in the back, the third bracket is really easy because it just goes right on top of the second. The first one was a pain in the butt, the second even less, and the third even less than that, because this one is right here, really easy to access. These are 14 millimeter. Just get an extender and a ratchet. Okay, so the tank is in, completely up, all three straps on. Looks pretty good. Got my rubber right back in place where it's supposed to be. And those look pretty darn good, the silver and black. I really like that. Okay, now we are ready to take our towel out of the fuel tank side. ready to install our hose. Alright, now it comes out of the gas tank right there. This is our clamp. We want that clamp to be on this side and pointing down. So that we fix the mistake some asshat made earlier. Man, that thing just won't go on there, will it? There we go. See? All you need is a little bit of lube. There's the end of the hose. There's that. That has to go onto that. So I think that's just about the right amount of length, but you're going to have to bend the hose in order to get it on there, and I would lube up the inner diameter. As you can see, I've already done that side, and this lip here, I'm gonna have to lube that up so it goes on there nice and smooth. That's gonna be near impossible to film, so I'll just leave it at that. And here we are trying to get that bolt back on. I got the other side on and got both sides of the fuel filler neck hose on. That bolt 10mm had to spin again by hand. Alright, so that's done, and the only thing I have left over here on this side are the two evap hoses. I've already got the large diameter evap hose that goes to the filler neck, and basically the only thing I have left to do are the two evap hoses, the vapor valve evap hoses that go to this check valve right there. Now the only thing left to do on this side is connect this electrical connector, which goes right into the bracket, so you can't connect this unless this bracket's installed anyway, because it just kind of pops right in that little hole there. There. Nice and secure, and that gets routed all the way up to the trunk. And this is just a continuation of your fuel pump connector, so you can test your fuel pump from within your trunk. So that's pretty neat change on the 95 versus the 93, 94, is that yes, this is actually a diagnostic connector for the fuel pump that goes in the trunk. So we're learning and we're burning. Alright, now all we have to do is hook up our supply and return lines. I followed each line up and then wrote on the actual pipes and made an arrow so I know which one is my supply and which one is my return. And I did the same exact thing on the actual end of the fuel lines when I had the tank uninstalled. That way I just match them right up. Okay, I have the supply and the return hose all hooked up, ready to go. But I did forget to put the heat shield back on. So I have to bolt that back up around the side of the fuel tank there, as well as I forgot one connection up on the back over there. So just cleaning up the connections and getting everything ready. I am running out of battery, but suffice to say I got everything reconnected, evap hoses, everything. Got my supply return on my evap, everything. It's all hooked back up. And I think I'm going to call it a night. Alright, I got everything hooked back up last night. As far as I can tell, everything's ready to go, and I'm ready to pour the gas in. So I'm going to start filling it up. This is only a 2-gallon container, so it's going to take me a couple trips in order to get a couple gallons in there. More than likely, I'm probably going to end up wasting about half a gallon to 1 gallon while I purge the line. I've left the plastic piece off of the fuel in front of the fuel filler neck. That way, when I'm filling it, if I do have any leak issues, I'll be able to more easily spot them. I can smell that the evap is working correctly, so that's good. Still going to have to get under there to check for leaks, and I'm only going to be pouring probably about 1 gallon in here just to check the filler neck system for leaks. Alright, after you've bench tested and put everything back together in your tank and you're ready to test your pump, do not turn the car on. What you're going to want to do is purge the line of any crap that has accumulated in the air because of the air intrusion into your fuel lines. So what you're going to do is purge using the old fuel filter first, and then after you purge a little bit, you're going to swap in your new filter. So what I have here is a setup. This runs to the fuel rail, and then I have off of that teed my fuel pressure gauge, and then that runs down there into a jug, into a container. Make sure that all your connections are good and that they're steady, and when you run this test, make sure the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you don't have any leaks here or at the back of the car or the tank or any of the fuel lines that you've messed with. If you smell fuel at any time during this process, pull your jumper pin. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and reconnect our battery. I don't like how that one's loose. That ground over there loose. My main ground is loose. Looks like 10mm. Alright, that's nice and tight. If you have EEC4 and you're going to be jumping your fuel pump here, or If you have a KL or a manual transmission, you'll be using the diagnostic box. You'll be using your jumper pins in there. Go from battery ground. Alright, and then I'm just going to take this and jump this to ground, and that should engage my fuel pump. As long as your fuel pump relay's in. Hear it click. There goes my fuel pressure check for leaks and smell for gas. Whoa, look at that sucker go. And we are sitting at 44 psi. Alright, and then you release it, and now you basically have your hold test. This does not seem to be holding pressure. It is slowly leaking down. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so it has to hold above 21 psi after 5 minutes. It has been 8 minutes, and we are sitting around 23 psi, so that's pretty good after 5 minutes. I am a little concerned with how loud that noise was coming from the fuel pump, and I'll engage it and let you hear that. Alright, so engage. Come out here. Hear how loud that is? Not sure if that's normal. My old pump certainly never sounded like that. Then again, my old pump was leaking back within the tank. I don't know, it just sounds like really high resistance or something to me. It sounds like that motor's going to end up burning itself out real quick. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that noise. But I'll get back with AirTechs and see what they say about that. I am hovering about 44 psi, and I should be between 37 right there and 46 up here, so right in the middle. So that's good pressure. In order to bleed off the pressure in here so that you can work with unpressurized lines and hook everything back up correctly, we're going to head and just siphon that off, and you'll be able to see all that stuff go. And that goes right out in my container. Now we're sitting at 0. You can see it still kind of going there. Just keep bleeding off. Alright, and just do one last minute check. If you need a video on how to install your fuel filter, I have one. I'll post a link. I've reinstalled my filter box, reconnected my map, my IAT, my breather hoses, my IAT vacuum, everything that I can think of. I'm pretty sure that I'm just about set here to fire it up. Let's do a last minute check. It's raining out. Make sure there's no bolts under the hood, which honestly, that's a highly overlooked process, is looking in your fender wells for bolts up here for tools. See? How's that sucker go on there?
Where do you belong there?
Alright, top off your coolant, make sure your oil's good and all that jazz. Car's lowered. You got clearance. I think everything's set. Now you want to prime it at least twice before you start. So ignition, make sure you're in neutral if you have a manual. Make sure your e-brake is set just in case. Prime it, ignition turned on. Make sure your gas cap is good. Cycle it off, turn it on. Alright, now I have a clutch here, so I'm going to have to get used to that again. Alright, so brake, clutch. Idle is sitting right at 1,000. It's a little high, but considering everything I've been through, I'll take it. Idle actually sounds like it's dropping just a hair as the engine's warming up. See if I put an AC load on it. AC on, cold. Put my swing on. Got my swing on. Kicked up to 1,000 again. Getting a little bit of fluctuating idle. Man, it is really raining out there. Turn off. Idle raises up a hair, and then drops back down. Just trying to compensate. Turn the AC on again. Electrical load raises the RPM. I do have a slight fluctuation. It's ever so slight. Hairline fluctuation. Turn off the AC. Turn my lights on. Okay, my dimmer's working. Radio's not working. I'll have to check my radio fuse. I probably blew the fuse because of my transaxle range sensor wiring and warming up still. Running at about 750. I'm looking good. And I'll do a running fuel pressure test probably tomorrow, but for now the car's back up and running. Don't worry about the OD off because that's part of my automatic to manual swap. That's always going to do that, so just ignore that. But you want to pay attention to your gas gauge. Make sure that your sending unit is correct. A sending unit, aka float switch. You want to make sure that that is correct. So my gas gauge is registering correct, and my tach is registering correct. I'm still getting that high idle. Maybe that has something to do with the automatic swap because I'm still running the automatic ECU, so it's doing some calculations and kind of farting on itself. But my charge light's not on. Everything's pretty good. I just have my e-brake set and my doors open. There we go. Now my fan's just kicked on, so I'm finished warming up. And the idle is, it's probably hovering about 900 to 950, around in there. That's a little higher than I'd like, but I can always go back and reset the base time. On the horizon is a water pump and timing belt. So I'm not going to mess with the base timing again until I do the water pump and timing belt. So warmed up, looking good. Nothing's caught on fire yet. I don't smell any gas anywhere. So I'm going to call this a fix. And I would like to thank Shane personally, who is from AirTech's technical support. He was very helpful through email, although the issue ended up being my own stupidity for not connecting the connector. But I just want to say thank you to Shane personally for our correspondence. It was very helpful, and all you guys over at AirTechs are doing a great job. Keep it made in the USA, and please switch your hose clamps to Phillips. Another test I'm going to do, which I always failed in the past, because this has better hold pressure. If I turn off the engine, okay, and then if I were to immediately try and restart it, remember I had no fuel pressure, therefore I would still have hard starting. So let's see how many cranks it takes to start it. Oh yeah, baby. First one, knocked it out of the park. Let's try that again. That felt so good. Oh, give me some more. Give me some more. Start it up. Yeah! Oh yeah. Oh, that felt good. All right, we're good here. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you replace a Mazda 626 MX6 Ford Probe Telstar Protege fuel pump. Cool.